Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tama Gocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. You will notice during this break that your I thought or your knower knew about a very different world called outside. It was knowing about whatever you were in a group or drinking some drink. That was a knower, knowing about that. Who doesn't know about this knower who knows about this class. So the knowers change. The relative knower, the I thought. The I thought is also called a relative knower. The pramata in Sanskrit, the pramata. And so this knower knows about different things, different conditions. But he never knows, when he knows about one thing, he doesn't know about something else. But there's a constant knower underlining all of those knowers. There's one knower in whose presence all these changing knowers come and go. That is the aluptadrik. It's the witness of the three states. So there's something about you because of which these states that your body undergoes are recognized. So as again I said, when there's a dream, that dreamer doesn't know about the waker at all. I mean, you can have a big mole, like big mole that you don't like in the waking state. And like, I don't like this mole. But, and I've got self-esteem issues, I don't feel well with this mole. But then when there's a dream, that mole is not there. Because the body's not there. So you've lost a certain layer about yourself. That anamaya kosha, that body. So every attribute of the body that was being added onto the self and all of the self-esteem issues in response to that, in reference to that body, those self-esteem issues are gone because the body is gone. And so the I changes in the dream because the I no longer has any problems related to the body in the dream. So now the I in the dream goes, oh, I'm a king now. I can fly. I'm feeling so secure in this place. That I that was so real that you were going, oh, how could I have killed someone in my dream? You ever have that? You killed someone in your dream? Admit it. Admit it. And you're like, oh God, what have I done? Oh, you're so worried. Actually, I'm asking because I had that several times, and I was so worried now I'm going to go to jail. Like genuinely concerned. Oh no, jail, I'm going to miss out on all my friends, and I'm never going to get that chance to do all those things that I wanted to. I was genuinely concerned. My eye was genuinely worried and concerned. And then woke up from that, you call that a nightmare, and instantly the new I came, which now compared itself, being in such a better position than the dream I, and says, oh, I am so glad that I am in this state of security and warmth. And see, so your I instantaneously, that ahamkara instantly changes from state to state. And then it disappears entirely in deep sleep. Now all your problems are gone. That's why deep sleep, if you could verbalize it, you would say, that's awesome. This is great. I don't have any problems anymore. I have no problems from the dreamer ego, nor from the waker I thought. Maybe we'll stick with I thought, according to the verse. I've got no problems with this I thought anymore. And you love it. You look forward to deep sleep. Even after the person's taken, so many drugs and they're worn out, end of the day, what do they say? I just want to go to sleep. That means sleep is even better because even the drugs, they embellish the I. They embellish the I with more experiences. But your nature being free, all you want is to get back to that nature, which is freedom, without any additions onto it, because it's heavy. So those additions get added in the waking state, and those additions get also added in the dream state. In fact, when you say, hey, I want to go sleep tonight, I'm looking forward to sleep tonight, are you really saying, I'm looking forward to dreaming tonight? Is that what you're saying? No. Yeah. Yeah, you're basically saying, I want that place which is other than the dream. You may not call it deep sleep, call it whatever nothing, or whatever you want to call it. But what's for sure is when I want to sleep, I don't want to dream. I want to be free from the dreamer I thought. That is one thing for sure. If that's the case, then what does that mean? You're also there in deep sleep, when there is no I thought in deep sleep. So if you want to get back to that place without the I thought, what does that mean? You cannot be that I thought. So there's something about you that recognizes that you are not bound by this expanding and contracting entity that all day long tries to make itself bigger. And it doesn't like itself when it's feeling small. So it has to now go in and get validation. That's why validation and attention is so big nowadays. Because I can't stand the small I that I identify myself with. I need to make it bigger. And this is what we all take ourselves to be. Yaha vijjanati sakalam jagrat swapna sushuptishu buddhi tatvrti sadbhavam abhavam aham iti ayam. This is the Atma that we speak of, who as the I knows all. Now when it says here, pause, when it says here knows all, it doesn't mean as in now that you're Atma, you know how to drive ride a helicopter, ride a horse, suddenly do, programming and so on. That's not what it says here. It means it's the awareness. It's the light that illumines all your thoughts. It lights up your thoughts. So this is the Atma who as the I illumines all thoughts. In other words, knows all knowers, knows all conditions of your I thought, knows all the presence and absence of the mind and its thoughts in the waking, dream, and sleep states of experience. So it's that constant, unchanging presence, in the presence of whom there is a no mind and there is also a mind. Both of those conditions are recognized in the presence of the self. In the presence of this light that's shining, suppose there's one big ginormous light bulb, it just lights things up. And your mind is like this room with objects that are moving a lot, whose mind is quiet. And in the presence of this light, objects are known to be moving, are known to be still, are known to have gone out of the room. Sometimes we have what's called no mind. That's called, hey, can you just call some movers and let them just move everything out? And there's nothing in your room, in your mind. So this is what the self is. It's absence of thoughts. No. Self is not the absence of thoughts. Self is the recognizer of absence of thoughts. And self is the recognizer of thoughts. The light is the recognizer of thoughts, the objects. And light is the recognizer of absence of objects, thoughts. So that light never moves. It just lights up the conditions of the mind. That's its only purpose. Not that it has a purpose, but innocently, in its presence, it shines constantly, lighting up the expanding, contracting entity in the waking, the expanding, contracting entity in the dream, and the absence of that expanding and contracting entity in the deep sleep. It just shines It awares all conditions of the mind. If that awareness, the aluptadrik, was as good as a thought, suppose it was good as a happiness thought. Suppose you say, I am happiness. Okay. So suppose you were that happiness thought. What would happen when a sadness thought enters?
Enter, because the happiness is there. And I am the happiness and I'm not changing. Happiness is not changing.
Yeah, exactly. It couldn't enter because I'm there all the time. Because what is the nature of the self? That which is not bound by time. It never ends. It's always there in the past, present, and the future. So if I was happiness thought, that means happiness is there in the past, present, and future, and it never changes. Then by definition, if it never changes, then I could never experience sadness. Because to experience sadness, you need to completely displace happiness so that distinctly I can identify sadness as sadness and not some mixture of sadness plus happiness. So again, if you were as good as your thoughts, when that thought goes away, then you would go away along with it. Then you could not light up the next thought that comes along. You could not do it because you would have long gone along with that happiness thought. So what does this mean? You cannot be any kind of a thought because any thought comes and goes. And as we said, the I thought, that's what I call the I thought, the aham pratyaya, that too is a thought. It expands and contracts. If you were the expanded I, this is what we all want, right? We want the big I, right? Big I, inflated I. If you were that inflated I, and by definition, if you were that self which never changes, then you could never experience a small, shy, introverted, to oneself kind of I, which we all have, don't we? Yes, we do. Therefore, you have to be thus free of your I thoughts. Now, in the waking and the dream, two things happen. Let's just stick with the waking. When you say, I am feeling happy, there are two conditions here that are observed. The first is I, because when I is happy, what kind of an I is it? It's a big I, isn't it? And the happiness is also an emotion, isn't it? So two conditions are observed. There's a condition number one, an expanded I is observed, and two, happiness, emotion is observed, yeah? Both of those are not you. You are who? You are that in the presence of whom both the expanded I is recognized to be expanded, and in the presence of whom happiness is recognized to be happiness. So any moment you say, I am ignorant. Look at this. I am ignorant. I don't know. How is your I when it doesn't know something? Is it feeling like extremely inflated? No. It's feeling small, isn't it? Suppose I say to you, what color is a red rose? Suppose I point to a red rose. What color is it? You say, oh yeah, it's red. What's it called? Yeah, it's called a rose. Very confident. Then I say, why is it red? Why is it not blue? Why does it have thorns? How does it develop those thorns? How does it know how tall to grow? How does it know how to convert the sunlight into chemical energy? How does it know to give a certain flavor, a certain smell? How does it do that? I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. So your eye was like this when you said it was, yeah, it's a rose, it's red. And now I start asking questions, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. So at any moment that I changes, that's his job. You're not supposed to stop it, by the way. You're not supposed to get rid of the I, get rid of the aham pratyaya. It's not supposed to do that because it's functionally useful in this world. Just recognizing it, and this is a function of the subtle body. The subtle body, one of those four functions, memory, buddhi, all those, that's just a function. That's it. There's no need to get rid of it. There's no need to put it down. There's no need to do anything. Just go, okay, so right now, my ahamkara is small. Now it's big. That's what it does. It breathes in and out, in and out, in and out. That which breathes, that which expands, that which contracts, it's supposed to do that. And it will continue to do that, whether you know the truth or not. The only difference is once you know yourself as other than that breathing, contracting, expanding, fictional character called the I thought, when you recognize the truth, you're okay with it. That's what the character has been doing since beginningless time. That was never me. I thought it was me. I am the aluptadrik, the uninterrupted, unbroken witness in the presence of whom this character comes and goes. What else is my nature? Verse 37, the unseen seer, yaha pashyati swayam sarvam yam na pashyati kashchana, yaha chetayati buddhi adi na tat yam chetayati ayam. So additionally, the Atma, Atma means self, this I, this non-changing aluptadrik, the Atma sees everything by itself without any help. In other words, it doesn't need, like this light, it doesn't need another light to illumine this light. This light is the only light there is. It's the final illuminer. It's the final light in the presence of whom objects are revealed. So this Atma doesn't require some other, someone else to see it. You are that seer. You are the seer of objects. No one is helping you. There's no external entity kind of supplying you consciousness right now. That consciousness is the final thing, the final reality. There's nothing behind it. The final building block of the universe. And you have it right. You have it right now. It's the witness of all experiences, and it doesn't need external aid to shine. It is self-shining, self-illumining, self-existing, self-being. It doesn't depend on time to suddenly come tomorrow, and only now it turns on. And then again, it switches off. It doesn't switch off or switch on, because if it were, it would be depending on time. It would not be self-existent, self-independent. It is that which is self-independent. It doesn't depend on anyone to touch you and then give you that. Come here, come here. Let me touch. Boom. Now you have the light. I gave you this light. No, I didn't. It may work because some people ironically change like that. It's called placebo effect. But I cannot give you that because it was that light in the presence of whom your mind said, I don't know what this light is. I want to discover this consciousness. And it's that very same light of consciousness in the presence of whom, once the mind comes to know that presence of consciousness and its nature, then the mind says, it's what is inside every single thought. It's that which is in every thought. Consciousness, awareness. And what's even lighting that thought up, that recognition of the mind? The same consciousness that was lighting up the mind, which once upon a time used to say, I have no idea what this consciousness is. The consciousness never left. I just confused it with the ahamkara, with the expanding and contracting entity. That was the problem. So now, when we said yesterday, when we talk about this upadhi, crystal is aluptadrik, and this color is this aham pratyaya, the I thought. How do you separate one from the other? Good, you can't, number one. But still, okay, but you have to do a discernment, obviously. That's why we're here. You need someone to point out. Okay, but then again, how would I, right now discern this ahamkara, which is changing from the crystal.
It's not the crystal because it's changing.
Good, good. So remember the logic yesterday we used? If the upadhi, the attribute, was intrinsic, the word intrinsic means it was at one with. If it was intrinsic with the crystal, then you could never change color because it will be one constant color. So like that, because there's a constant expanding, contracting entity in your presence, it means that you must be free of every single condition. Otherwise, it will be stuck onto you. You would always feel like this big I, this big I who's very confident. But nobody experiences a confident aham pratyaya all the time. Nobody does. It changes. Okay? Therefore, it says it is a beginningless upadhi. How long have you been identified with it? Beginningless time. And that is exactly how I got born. As a character who thinks I am a little bit, but not so much. I'm a little bit, but I'm not so much. And because I can't stand that, then I will go and boost this I thought, and will make it bigger and bigger and bigger. I'll put wealth onto it, fame, I'll surround myself with people and things, and then because I can't stand a small I, because you recognize that you are not that small I. There's something about you that recognizes that you are limitless, Paramanandam. That is why we always do everything for the sake of removing a sense of limitation. That's all we ever do. I can't stand the limitations upon me, so I'm going to now engage in something to get rid of it. That means you must be thus in touch with your nature as that one who is already free. Otherwise, you wouldn't be seeking freedom. You want to say that?
Yeah, isn't it so that newborn babies don't have those upadhis because they think they are also you? They think, how do you call it? Object, permanence?
They do, that's why they're born. See, subtle body, just to be born, you have a new body. It's just not developed yet because the physical brain is not fully capable of hosting the subtle body. So they're just waiting. They're waiting for the physical instrument to grow up so that the buddhi can start to fully function and the eye sense can start to fully function.
So it's conditioned. So it is conditioned by...
It's still conditioned.
Yeah.
It's still conditioned. It needs to take a full course. That's why children don't have much of a personality in their very young years. You only see the individuality develop when the physical brain is capable of letting that subtle body fully express its personality. So it has to wait. So if the self doesn't require any light, any external help, see, there's no God who's now supplying you this consciousness. Nothing can take this consciousness away from you. Nothing ever will. There's no being out there who's blessing you this consciousness now and saying, okay, so, one day when your body dies, I'm going to strip this consciousness away from you and you will go out of existence. You can't strip it because it is one universal consciousness through all minds. That's why it's self-luminous, self-shining, independent. That means you will not ever experience a moment when you no longer have an existence. That will never happen. The body can die, the thoughts can, in fact, thoughts do die all the time, don't they? Every minute, thought is gone. And so does your body die. You've had so many people, you wore so many people on you so far. Did you know that? You had like 22,000 people you've been wearing. It just looks the same because it changes so slowly. You know what would be really better? That is every day you get a new body. Imagine that. That would be a good thing. Like, I wonder what body will I get today. You're like, wow, so that person... Yeah, I was there in that person and I'm now in this female person and I'll be there tomorrow in that child. There'll be something about you that they would just know you as you. You would just see an appearance of a new body. I wonder why God didn't do that.
But we are living this actually because our body is changing constantly.
Yeah.
Right? We are babies.
Exactly. So we are living that actually. We are.
Yeah.
This would just be a fictional kind of a speedy response. But we are, technically, we are doing that. We are living that.
So you see people do gender transformation these days, and when you talk to them, they say, I expected to be happy now, I was changing to a woman, but it's not.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, exactly. Because they don't know really about the subtle body. It's the subtle body they experience as discontent. But they put their I in the physical body. So you can see how it plays out in real life. So if it's the independent aluptadrik, whereas the objects are very different. An object, take for example a remote. A remote, to see the remote, it depends on the light. Depends on the eyes. The sight depends on the mind. How do you tell this? Simple. Have you ever opened your eyes like this? And you're somewhere else? Hey, come back. You're totally somewhere else. Your eyes are open, ears are open, but because the mind is not available, it's somewhere else, there's no place to send that data to. It's sending it nowhere. So the object depends upon the light, depends upon the senses, and the senses depend upon the mind, and the mind, of course, depends because the mind itself is changing. And you can only recognize a changing entity in the presence of a non-changing kutastha substratum. In order to recognize a change, there has to be something about you that is not changing, otherwise change could not be seen as change. Whatever you want to call that unchanging thing, we call it Atma here. So let's not get caught up with names, the self, the capital self, the small self, the awareness, the consciousness. It's just that which doesn't change, and we all are in touch with it because you are that. So object requires so many factors to be revealed. The mind requires the presence of an unchanging awareness to be revealed. An emotion requires the presence of an unchanging awareness to be distinctly identified as that emotion, and then displaced by another emotion, displaced by another emotion. And yet, verse continues, but no one can see that Atma. That means there's no possibility that you can turn that Atma into an object. Because if it's an object, where is it? It's in the subtle body. In what state? In the waking state. Just one single state. I turn Atma in one single of the three states. I put Atma in one of those states. And I say, I found Atma. He's there in a little body. In one waking state, in one place, in India. He's in India, he's not somewhere else. In the Himalaya. Now that I'm back home, I lost Atma. Now I have to go back and get Atma at a seminar. So again, you're putting it in a location, a time, era. So no one can see that Atma. Why? Because there's nobody to see that Atma. You are the final seer in the presence of whom seeing is done. There's no one seeing you. You cannot see you because you are the final seer. There's no one behind you seeing you seeing something else. You are the seer. That's it. It's simple as that. No one can see that Atma. Because if someone sees that awareness, that Atma, what does that mean? I've turned it into an object within time and space. So here's a test for you. Are you ever now going to, you might, but who knows, going to say, hey, I saw Atma. Tonight I saw Atma, finally.
Maybe in the reflection of someone else?
Huh?
Maybe in the reflection of someone else? Or is it impossible?
No, just reflect. I mean, reflection is also, just an object. And I thought, it popped up in time. Yeah, no way. I saw Atma today. And then I will say to you, what did it look like? And then you have to give me one of those 5 features. It had a smell, it had a sight, it had a sound, it had a sensation, it had some kind of a taste. Oh, so you're just mistaking Atma for your 5 senses. They come and go. Atma doesn't come and go. Atma is permanent. See, if you were as good as your taste, if you were as good as that taste, that means when you get sick and your taste buds go away, you would go away. Did you ever have that? Of course we did, right? Smell goes away, taste goes away. Put noise cancellation headphones, that goes away. Block your eyes, that goes away. But I'm still exactly the same I as before. The only thing that happens is when you unplug the ears, there's another level of experience which I, the awareness, aware. I aware a level of experience called sound. Now I open the eye. Now the eyes are opened by this instrument. Now in the presence of that same eye, another level of experience is added called sight. Now the sickness goes away. Another level of experience is added onto eye, which is smell and taste. And then again, boom, they disappear. But you don't change, you just aware the 5 senses. So you cannot be the 5 senses. 5 senses are just additions, embellishments, layers, provisionally given for a short amount of time. I remain, senses go away. And finally, the Atma illumines the mind, but the mind cannot illumine that Atma. From the verse. The mind cannot illumine, cannot shine, cannot see. Because to say illumine, it means the mind is now, it sees it like, yes, the light. It's over there, Sahasrara Chakra, I got it. You can't do that. Because it's not an object to be seen, to be heard. It will never be an object. No matter how sublime, subtle, divine, call it whatever you want, intuition, it will never be an object. It is the presence in whom objects are revealed. It's like the light. It just shines and it waits. And whatever experience pops up, it is revealed. To whom? To that aluptadrik.
What happens when you die?
So when the unwise person, the ajnani, dies, then, as we said yesterday, there's a dreamlike state. There's no stability anymore because the physical body was making things stable. Now when the physical body goes away, then it's exactly like a dream. Very fluid.
The alaptatrika, the witness or the consciousness is one level above the subtle body because it experiences what subtle body does.
Yeah, you could say it is not bound by the subtle body. It illumines the subtle body. Don't even use the word above or below. How about that? So again, it is not above the subtle body, even though I know where you're coming from. It is that light in the presence of whom the conditions of subtle body are coming and going.
So like a movie screen, and the movie is played on that screen, and the movie changes, like the subtle body.
The movie is a subtle body, yeah.
But the screen remains.
Yeah, the seer, the aluptadrik is the screen.
Is the screen.
Yeah.
But what happens when the movie is over.
So what happens when the movie is over? Well, first of all, you still know yourself as yourself, because the one who knows I am, that's the screen. Just no color. There's just no sight and sound anymore. But you still know yourself as yourself. So you have not missed anything out. What more do you want than to exist? Why do you need an image? Why do you need a sound? Does a sound validate you? Do you need to give a sound of a cow to validate your existence? No, you exist. Whether a cow goes moo or not, I'm okay without a cow. So you, as the screen, using that analogy, you remain exactly you, the conscious presence, the existent being, who lacks nothing. And even if you have one image on your screen, like a nice image of a flower, what is one image? It's just one image. There's so many other images. And you don't need any image to validate you, any flower, any experience to validate you, because the experience depends upon you. You don't depend upon the experience. The experience doesn't validate your existence. You exist independent of the experience.
It is limitless and changeless entity, which does not die or...
Yeah, it does. Okay, good. See, as long as you don't know your nature fully as that which is limitless, then you as though die. Then for you, death is real. Because the body is I, so therefore I die. The thought is I, therefore I die too. But in actuality, you're neither bound by your body nor your thoughts. And so you don't really die. You can't die. Because awareness doesn't die. And that's your real nature. Like this conversation between you and I, notice how the conversation will die too. But there's something between us, something that we're recognizing that doesn't die. There's a presence, a constant presence, in the presence of whom this conversation between two characters is going on. A bunch of images, a bunch of sounds is going on between them. And when the conversation's over, what's going to remain? You will. That awareness will. That awareness is that aluptadrik. So that aluptadrik can never die. Even when the physical body dies, exactly the same I that is true now continues when there is death of the physical body. Nothing changes. Just minus the physical body. Just like a dream. Now when the wise person dies, that's a different story. When the wise person's body dies. So all of this that I've described was the unwise person. When the wise person drops their body, then not only does the physical body go back to the 5 elements, but also the thoughts no longer come. There's no more, oh, I am small. Oh, I am a single entity. Right now, I am the whole. I am now everything, all that is. No more, oh, I'm just one little entity now. That's for an unwise person. I died and I'm still one little entity who's now floating. Oh, save me, save me. What do I do now? Where do I go? Please save me, guardian angels. Shiva, Brahma, help me, help me. I'm still floating around, thinking I'm a small being. When the wise person drops their physical body and their mind, also their subtle body also no longer comes back, who am I? I am exactly who I am right now. Without another form of a thought, a limited thought. I am a small being, I am traveling, I am everything. But in both cases, wise or unwise, you can't die. That's the good news. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Like we said, you've had 2,000 people on you so far. You've been wearing 2,000 people. The baby has died. It's died. Replaced by a mature adult. What is bondage? Verse 39, the origin of bondage. Atra anatmani aham iti matihi bandha esha asya pumsaha praptaha ajnanat janana marana klesha sampata hetuhu yena eva ayam vapuhu idam asat satyam iti atma buddhya pushyati ukshati avati vishayaihi tan tubhihi koshakritvat. So in the context, the sense of I in the anatma, the not self, is the bondage for the person. This is gained due to ignorance and is the cause for falling into afflictions of birth and death. Just as a silkworm lays a trap for itself with the threads, the jiva, taking this changing body as real and as I due to ignorance, in other words, as I thought due to ignorance, nourishes it, anoints it, and protects it. This I thought, says the verse, is the cause of bondage. This expanding, contracting entity is the cause of bondage. And what is bondage? It is a thought. What do you think bondage is, in short? Bondage.
Identification with the thought?
Identification with a thought. In other words, I am this. That's summary of bondage. I am this. That's bondage. So you are placing your I where? You're placing your I in a not I. You're placing your I in a character that gets born and dies. Therefore, who gets born and die? Gets birth and death now? I get birth and death. Why? Because I've put myself into an object that dies and gets born. And that becomes bondage for me, because now I am subject to 80 years and I'm worried about dying, so naturally concern is going to come. And so they spend all their life getting rid of these limitations. Sometimes even, covering up. I don't want to think about death. You want, do this. Next time there's a nice party. Sit down on a dinner table. Let's talk about death. Let's talk about death. Fastest way to change someone's mood. I don't know why, but I've tried it several times and always works. My favorite topic is death. It's glorious to me. I just told Otto, if you want to make me happy, talk about death. Totally opposite. I was like feeling down, I was like, let me just think of death. Wow. Wow. Changed my whole mood. Yeah. So
it's the opposite of born.
It's opposite of birth, yeah, because birth is really a birth of limitation.
Yes.
But death, if you recognize it deeply, it is a total riddance of limitations. That's why it brings so much joy.
Yes.
Because it's the ultimate release. It's the ultimate release from this upadhi that is still being worn for a very short amount of time. And when this upadhi falls, I am exactly who I am, minus the upadhi called Andre, or your name. So it's not accidental. It's not some, twisted psychology. It's a natural expression of deep understanding of who you are, that you are much bigger than this body. So look at this. Look how the shift happens. Fear, like the ultimate fear of death, the most uncomfortable thing. When Vedanta comes into your life, it's totally opposite. That's amazing. So no, when I see a baby, I'm like, whatever. You got a long while, buddy. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sorry if and I'm sorry if I offended anyone, because I know this is a sensitive topic, but I know. So the sense of I is the bondage. Now, because it is, I put my eye into this limited entity, two errors happen. The first one is that you place the impermanence of the body and you try to make it permanent. Because what is permanent? The self is permanent. Because they're so intricately connected together, I take what is impermanent and I want to make it, extend the life. This is the first error. The second error is that you take Atma's limitlessness, fullness, and you attribute that onto the body and the mind. So now I try to make my body and mind limitless. And not only that, and I try to make my body and mind perfect, because Atma is perfect. Not only that, but I try to look perfection in other swamis and teachers. Where is that coming from? From my own projection. Very common. And if they're not perfect, they're not the self. You see what happened here? I mistook attribution error. I took that which is limitless and I put it in the wrong place. I put it onto the body and I put it onto the personality, and now I want the personality and the body to shine perfection. That will never happen. That's why you will never find any body or like physical body or mind or personality that is perfect. Never. That is a utopian dream. It's actually immature to look for that. The only thing that is perfect is Atma. But Atma, you're not going to find Atma as an attribute in a physical body or the mind. You're not going to do that. Atma is awareness. Awareness has no attributes. So I cannot look for some attribute because it's got no attributes. So I can't look for attributes in your personality, in the words, in how you speak. They are all attributes of sounds and sights. So these two errors get committed, and consequently, now that it's committed, what happens? I anoint this body. You nourish it, you anoint it, and you protect it like a silkworm lays a trap for itself. So in other words, the silkworm, it spins the web. It wants to protect itself in a cocoon. But the more it does, the thicker the cocoon gets and the harder it is to come out. So in that same way, the jiva tries to secure its life, make its life better. Not that anything's wrong with that, but that's all there is. Try to make my life better, get, family and connections and being someone and this, and more I'm spinning this web, and more it's harder to come out of it. Look at that irony. I'm trying to make my life work, and I made such a huge, thick web, I cannot come out of it anymore. So this is the consequence of mixing two things up, mixing Atma onto your physical body, and thus trying to make your physical body alive and full and rich and so on. And it never will be this. So the jiva builds his or her own prison. That's the consequence of not knowing this reality. So it has huge implications. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. Shanti Shanti Shanti.